This is the Puppy Training Podcast, episode number 15, Build a Bond. This podcast is for those looking to train their own dog, whether as a family companion, a service, or a therapy dog, and I'm here to help you every step of the way. This is the Puppy Training Podcast, and I'm your host, Amy Jensen. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in again this week. Last week was crazy for me. I was out of town. I was actually on a flight to Michigan to pick up Boots. Boots is our new service dog puppy in training, and he's home now. Anyway, and then we flew home and went straight to a family reunion. And I'm not as tech savvy as I should be and have pre-recorded my podcast to air last week. So we missed a week. I'm sorry, but we're back at it today. And I want to tell you a little bit about Boots. So we had this, I picked him up at the airport from Bungee Doodles. Jen Carlson is amazing. And she met me there at the airport, and this little Boots, oh my gosh, you guys, he is so cute. His eyes are green and they're like glass, and he just stares into your eyeballs. He just stares right into your soul almost. He's a sweetheart. We've had him for a week now, and like I said, he spent 4 days with me at a family reunion at my mom and dad's house, and he was so good with all of the kids, the little kids, the older kids, the adults. He's pretty chill, so we're just loving him so far. You'll get to see a lot more of him. If you want to follow his journey, you can follow him on Instagram at SDIT_Boots or also at Baxter and Bella. And then he's going to have a YouTube channel as well. We haven't started that yet, but that'll get going this week. So feel free to follow along. I try to post little training videos of me working with him so that you guys can see, what I do with the puppies that I work with. Okay, so today we're going to focus on building a bond. And I brought this up this week because Boots did just come home, and those first few days with him, that's really what I spent doing. I just focused on building a bond with Boots. That sounds kind of cute. And really, I want to talk to you today about what that is and why it's important, and some ideas that you can do with your puppy when it first comes home so that you can really build that good, solid relationship that we're all looking for. So the first part of building a bond is we want to create some trust. We want that new puppy to understand that we are going to be nice to them, that we're going to treat them well, we're going to give them food and water, we're going to show them love, and that when we ask them to do things, they're going to get rewarded for that. Trust also plays into crate training. I crate train my new puppies so that if they ever have to go to the vet or a grooming appointment, that they know how to be in a crate. It's also nice for travel, and these service dogs, they travel with us wherever we go, and so when we're staying in a hotel, it's just nice to have that crate option. And so trust is part of that. You put the puppy in the crate and you shut the door, they need to have trust that you're going to come back and let them out, and it's not going to be too long before you do so. So some of those little things just help build that trust that he can look to you as a leader, and that he knows where he can go for food and water, he knows where he can go for all the necessities of life that he needs, and that you're his new friend that's going to provide those things for him. So this creates that strong relationship that we're looking for with our dogs, and it helps our puppy feel safe. He can start to relax in his new environment once he knows where his needs are coming from and who's going to help him fulfill those. So all of those little things I like to spend doing the first couple of days, establishing some clear communication with my puppy. It's hard when they first arrive because we don't speak dog and they don't speak English. So we really have to start to create this common language that we can understand each other. We start to read their body language and what they're telling us, and they start to learn verbal cues for behaviors that we want them to do, and they get rewarded for it. And by doing so, we're starting to build this common language and establish this clear communication. So the first days when I get my puppy home, I'm not really focused on teaching them all sorts of words. It's more about just being together, building that trust, building that strong relationship, and helping him feel safe in his new environment. So you can spend time on those first few days getting to know your puppy. So for example, what toys does he like? And I always have a variety. I like to get out the squeaky toys, the long toys, the crunchy toys. Sometimes it's just even a water bottle. Just make sure you take the lid off and that little ring around the lid off before you give it to him. I even like to take the paper wrapper off so it's just the bottle, but that crunchy, crinkly sound, most puppies go nuts for, and it's really an inexpensive toy. So just finding things that he likes and that he'll respond to. I use a lot of toys in my training to motivate the puppy. Remember, anytime you're going to train a puppy, you have to have that motivation first. Learning doesn't happen until your puppy's motivated. So spend time getting to know your puppy by figuring out what toys he likes. Does he like a ball? Does he like a frisbee? Does he like the squeaky toys? Does he like the crunchy toys? Those kinds of things. I also like to use this time to discover what my puppy will work for. Now, when I have a brand new puppy, I am very careful about his diet the first few weeks home. I make sure that he stays on the same food as the breeder's been feeding him, and I use his food as much as possible in those first few days to keep his digestive system non-stressed. So I do use his kibble a lot the first few days in training, but usually your breeder will have some suggestions as to what he's already been accustomed to, such as, Boots already has been eating those meal mixers, the turkey flavor, freeze-dried turkey liver. And so I've been giving those to him, and he's also been getting some Life Abundance turkey and berry treats. And so I carried that over. So whatever the breeder had introduced him to and his stomach was okay with, that's what I'm starting out with. But as we go each day, I'm starting to introduce new things. So for example, I'm having Boots lay on a bed in the kitchen when I'm, fixing my breakfast or eating my lunch, etc. And I've introduced a little bit of string cheese. So he goes to the bed and he lays down. He's figured out that, hey, that's pretty awesome. I get a piece of string cheese if I go lay on this bed. And he's been fine with it so far. So I try to just slowly introduce things into his system. But at the same time, I'm paying attention to what he's willing to work for. He's pretty good to work for his kibble. And so I do that as much as possible. But after, 5 or 10 reps of each thing that we're working on, he's getting a little bored of just the kibble. So I'll pull out the string cheese or those turkey treats or those berry treats, just to try to mix it up a little bit so it keeps him guessing. So that list continues to grow. And as you're building your bond with your puppy, continue to grow the list and make a hierarchy of what your puppy likes. So the bottom of the list would be kibble. Most dogs will work for their kibble up to a certain point. And then it might be something like a Cheerio or a piece of apple or a piece of carrot. On up to the top of the list would probably be, for most dogs, a piece of steak or a piece of chicken from last night's dinner, something that's very high value. So as you're building your bond, start to create that list of rewards that your puppy will work for. And then I want you to always start at the bottom. So when you're doing a new behavior, try to see if he'll do it for the least valuable food item. That would be his kibble. If you take him out on a walk outside, we would mostly guess that your dog's going to need something a little more enticing because the environment is much more stimulating. So if you go outside on a walk, you're probably going to need some of that liver or the chicken or the steak, or maybe it's just a little bit of hot dog, something that's a little more enticing than your puppy's kibble. So again, start to build out that list and take note of what your puppy will and won't work for. Some dogs like vegetables. Like my Schnauzer loves carrots, broccoli. He does not love fruit. He won't have any apples. He doesn't want anything to do with it. Blueberries, he doesn't care about. But I've trained puppies in the past who love blueberries. So do your homework a little bit and take this time to kind of figure out what your dog doesn't like, but don't rush it. You have weeks ahead of you that you can kind of start to figure this out, and don't introduce too many new foods at once to your puppy. Again, we want his little system to stay comfortable and the way it was when he left his breeder. So be super careful about that. But again, keep that in the back of your mind that you're going to want to start to figure those things out. Does your puppy like ear rubs? Does he like belly rubs? I have not yet met a doodle who doesn't love a good belly rub. Does he like to play fetch? Well, if you toss a toy, does he like to go get it and bring it back to you? Or is he kind of like, yeah, I'm not that interested. So figure out really just what your puppy likes. Boots is such a snuggler. He will come running at me full speed, and he just wants to come right into my stomach, and then he turns around for a great, he just wants to be right next to me. So he's super snuggly. Not all puppies are like that. I've had puppies in the past who don't want to be right next to you, and that's okay. So figure out how, kind of your puppy's personality, what he likes, what he doesn't like, and then be respectful of that. Don't try to force a puppy who maybe isn't as snuggly to be a snuggler. I guarantee that's not going to help you build a bond with him. It's going to drive him away. So if your puppy is touchy-feely and does like to be right next to you, then yeah, do that. Scratch his belly, give him a back rub, rub his ears, let him cuddle right into you. But if you have a dog that doesn't love that, then don't force that. So again, building that bond is really important to figure out what he likes. The next thing I focus on with building a bond is I teach my puppies that sit is the new please. So I'm teaching him that communication that we talked about before. I'm not teaching him the word sit. I'm simply teaching him the behavior sit, and that he gets things by sitting. So if my puppy wants me to pay attention to him, he has to sit first. If he wants to say hi to me, he has to sit first. If he wants to play with me, engage in maybe a game of fetch or tug or something, then he has to sit for that toy to be thrown or that toy to be given to him. Before he eats his breakfast, I wait for a sit. So all sorts of things, any kind of scenario I can come up with that, my puppy is wanting to interact with me, I expect to sit first. And I don't cue it again. I don't tell him to sit because he hasn't been taught that yet. He doesn't know what that word means. But you can take the toy or a small food reward and lure him into a sit each time. And pretty soon, I would say within even the first day, you'll notice your puppy starts to offer that behavior to you. He gives it to you automatically. And sometimes it just takes you to wait a few seconds for it. In fact, I like to, once I've done it a couple times with my puppy, lured him into that sit position, I stop luring and I hide the toy or the food reward, and then I just wait and see if he'll start to figure that out and give it to me on his own. If he sits automatically, then yes, good boy. That yes is my verbal marker that he did something correctly, and I'll use that yes often so that he knows when he did something that I'm looking for, and then the food reward or the toy comes right after. So that's another thing you can do in these first few days is to load that marker. If you're a member of my program, I tell you all about how to do that in that first unit. But yeah, load that marker and then use it to help build this communication between you and your puppy, and your bond will just get stronger and stronger. All right, another helpful tip on these first few days home while you're building that bond is to station these food rewards around your house or wear a pouch. So just get used to having either pockets that you can put food in, or I have a jar by my back door where we take him outside to go potty. I have a jar in my kitchen area by the bed that I like him to lay on while I'm working in the kitchen. I just strategically place these things around my home so that that bond, as we're working on the sit to say please, or sit is the new please, and we're getting to know our puppy, when he does things we like, then I have food available that I can reward him instantly for it. So let's say that I'm maybe working in my office on some emails and my puppy's in here and he just lays down by my feet. I love that behavior. That's fantastic. So I'm just going to have a little food reward that I'm going to drop to him while he's laying at my feet. And I'm starting to shape those behaviors that I like by rewarding them. So whatever gets rewarded, you guys, gets repeated. So I'm always looking for things that I like that my puppy's doing, and I'm going to reward him for it. Then he's going to continue to do those behaviors. All right, another crucial point of building a bond is establishing some kind of potty routine. Going back to that he needs to feel safe and that his needs are met, he needs to know where he can go to the bathroom. We don't want to spend these first few days causing frustration for him or for you. We want it to be a happy, positive experience for the both of you, because we do want to get things off on the best start possible. So establishing a potty routine where you always go out with your puppy on leash, you mark yes the second he finishes, and you give him a really good food reward. I like to use freeze-dried liver, and then you can bring him back in to play inside with you. But so that he knows which door he can go out of, where he goes to, where he can go to the bathroom, you're going to praise him and reward him for going there. And then he gets to come back inside and play with you, have some free time in the house because he went. That's ideal. So a puppy does not know where he can go to the bathroom, and for all he knows is your carpet's a great spot. So we need to establish this potty routine. The best advice I can give you is to start to track it. So again, in my program, I have printable charts and checklists. I'm a teacher, you guys, and I love charts and checklists, and I love writing things out. So I've created all sorts of printables for you that you can go on and print out and then just use them. So the potty chart has 7 days worth on one sheet, and you can mark when they went, whether it was pee or poop, and if it was an accident or if it's successful, and you'll really start to see your puppy's patterns and be able to anticipate when he needs to go next. Boots, I can tell you, is phenomenal. Jen at Bungee Doodles did an amazing job prepping him for this potty training. He holds his bladder so well. I am so impressed for a young puppy. A lot of times I'm setting my timer every 20, 30 minutes to let a new puppy go out. Boots will hold it for a good hour before he even needs to go out. But that's, again, something that you need to learn about your puppy. Every puppy will be different, and it depends on where he came from and what kind of upbringing he's had before he came to you as to whether he got potty training from the breeder or not. So if he hasn't had any potty training, my program again outlines that for you of when you should be setting timers and kind of what to expect with a brand new puppy. Even at night, they're going to need a couple breaks probably before they learn to hold it all night long in a crate. So if you need help with that, check out my program. I would love to give you those charts and checklists. Again, establishing that potty routine just helps him feel safe. He knows where he can go. He's being rewarded for going in an appropriate area. It's keeping things positive, which is a crucial point to building this important bond that we want to establish with our new puppy. All right, so on that note, I'm just going to recap a little bit of watching for behavior that you like and rewarding it. And I told you a little bit about boots in the bed in the kitchen. With all of my puppies, I teach them the go to bed cue. And I put this bed in my kitchen and I shape it the first few days that they're home, that every time they go and sit on that bed, I drop it like something small, like a piece of kibble or a Cheerio to them. And then Boots, honestly, within 3 sessions, was laying down all on his own. So it went from he would sit on the bed, I'd give him a Cheerio, he'd sit on the bed, I'd give him a Cheerio, and then I started to lure him into a down. I did that about 3 times. I gave him a food reward, and I would no longer give him a reward for sitting. I'm now waiting for him to lay down before he gets that reward, and it took him about 3 sessions, you guys. He is a bright one. So now when I go to my kitchen, and we did this behavior, we started yesterday. So this is 24 hours in the making. Now when he goes into the kitchen with me, he'll go right over to the bed and lay down. He knows that he'll get a piece of string cheese or, a Cheerio or something good for doing it. And he knows that he's not going to get that any other way in my kitchen. He doesn't get it by sitting by my feet. He doesn't get it by, pawing on my cabinets or sniffing around my kitchen. He only gets food rewards if he's on that bed where I'd like him to be in a calm, relaxed way. So again, find things that you like, reward them, they'll keep doing them. And then take time. Your puppy is going to sleep a lot. So this is another way that you can build a bond is your puppy is going to be tired and he's going to sleep a lot. That's just what puppies do. So take that time to take a nap with him. See if you can lay down and he'll just come snuggle in by you and take a nap together. That's a great way to build a bond. And then finally, just remember, it's so important to keep things positive. We, again, want to build that trust that we talked about in the beginning. We want your puppy to know that you're a safe person. You want him to know that you're going to give him good things and that you're looking for good behavior and that will get rewarded. That's going to help build his confidence, and he's going to start to offer you behavior and really be motivated to work for you. And that's key before we get going in puppy training. Your puppy has to be motivated and he has to know that he can trust you. So take those first few days, you guys, and build a good solid bond with your dog. If you have an older dog at home, or maybe your dog's been with you for a while, it doesn't hurt to go back and just focus on, today I'm going to spend time on just building a bond with my dog and really just having fun with him, interacting with him, keeping everything positive, because occasionally we get into training and we start to get frustrated. This happens especially, I feel like, during the adolescent phase when our puppies reach that teenager phase where they start to push our buttons and test the boundaries a little bit. I go back to this build a bond lesson and just really try to focus on, today we're just going to be positive. We're going to focus on the good. We're going to build a relationship today that's positive. So I hope those tips help you guys. I've got to get back to Boots. He's up from his nap and he's ready to go. We're going to learn some new things today. If you'd like to follow us, remember you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook. Also, he'll have a YouTube channel that will be up shortly. You guys enjoy your week with your puppies and happy training. If you have a question about anything you heard on this podcast or any other puppy training question, visit my site, baxterandbella.com, to contact me.